Hi, welcome to our presentation as part of the new research on intersectionality research. We will talk about triple jeopardy, the role of race, gender, and social dominance orientation in how students evaluate their professors. Previous research shows that student evaluations of professors' teaching are biased by race and gender of the professors. For instance, women professors are rated lower than male professors, and non-white professors are rated lower than white professors. This research suggests that stereotypes of race and gender play a role in how students evaluate their professors. In related research on leadership, social dominance orientation, or people's attitudes towards different groups in society, also seems to play a role in how they judge women and non-white leaders. So, for instance, some research shows that social dominance orientation predicts how women, Latinx, and African American leaders are rated. In another study, Ho and al. Showed that social dominance orientation predicts how African American professors are evaluated. Therefore, we looked at how professor race, professor gender, and student social dominance orientation affect student evaluations of their professors. We expect there to be a triple jeopardy effect such that professor race, gender, and student dominant orientation interact to predict the lowest ratings of female non-white professors. Therefore, our hypotheses were that male professors will be rated much higher than female professors by students who score high on social dominance orientation. Another hypothesis we had was that social dominance orientation also predicts how white and non-white professors are rated. Finally, we looked at how female and non-white professors are rated by those who score high versus low on social dominance orientation. To conduct our research, we asked students at a large university campus, had multiple campuses, to rate their professors. We conducted this study over the period of 3 years, where students who are participating in our subject pool evaluated professors and the courses they took in the past year. Students completed this survey as part of a course credit. As part of the course credit, they evaluated these courses and discussed whether the course they took was part of their major, whether it was required, how many sessions they attended, and so on and so forth. We were particularly interested in how they evaluated their professors, so we asked them to judge their professors on different types of fairness measures. For instance, how fair the process was to determine grades, how fair the process was in terms of how grades were communicated, and how fair the grades were allocated. Students used 5-point scales to judge their professors on these fairness measures. For instance, in the procedural justice measure, we asked them to judge how difficult the course was and how difficult the exam was in terms of the number of questions. Similarly, on distributive and interactional justice, they evaluated how fair their grades were and how the professor communicated with them. Toward the end of the survey, we asked them to judge, to give us a judgment of their social dominance orientation. For instance, they replied to a question like this: an ideal society requires some groups to be on the bottom and others to be on the top. We then computed reliabilities of these measures and their correlations with each other. And as you can see here, the reliabilities are fairly high, and Our social dominance orientation measure was showed low correlations with our dependent measures. We then conducted a regression analysis where we entered professor gender, professor ethnicity, and student social dominance orientation as our predicted variables. We also entered the interactions and the three-way interaction that we expected to have an effect. Here you see on the table that there was a significant effect for the three-way interaction. I will now discuss the effects on procedural justice because those were the most consistent results we found. Here you see on this graph that students with high social dominance orientation rate female professors the lowest. Similarly, here you see that students with a high social dominance orientation rate the non-white professor the lowest. In general, social dominance orientation predicts how female and male professors seem to be rated. We then looked at the three-way interaction, and again here you see that female non-white professors seem to be most affected by the social dominance orientation of the students. This then supports in part our hypothesis. Therefore, we show, like previous research, that not only does social dominance orientation interact with professor gender in predicting student evaluations, social dominance orientation also interacts with professor race in predicting student evaluation. This is also supported by previous research. We add a third aspect to this finding in showing that social dominance orientation, professor gender, and professor race interact to predict student evaluations of teaching. We hope that you liked our presentation, and we encourage you to look at the appendix for other additional results. Thank you.